When Pleading the Fifth is a Crime by Jake the Lawyer. Link to the original video in the description. Here we go.
Okay, here's the deal. We've all seen the videos at this point.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights.
Look at his smug little fucking smile, dude. Doesn't that make you want to punch the face right off of that loser, dude? God, dude. It ruined millions of lives. All so that he could pretend like he was a celebrity for a couple of years. Fuck this guy. Fuck his wife, who flipped everybody off. Fuck everyone who helped him out. Fuck Donald Trump for giving him a medal. Fuck Joe Biden for going along with his bullshit. Fuck everybody who is involved with this guy. They should all be in prison.
Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Where Anthony Fauci, who received a full and unconditional pardon from President Biden, pleaded the Fifth Amendment 111 times to a Senate committee hearing in late July when asked about his dealings during COVID.
And nothing will happen to him, guaranteed.
The week is it today?
On the advice of counsel.
Look at his smug little fucking face. Look at his this douchebag, dude. That, oh my God, and he knows he's going to get away with it. These are the kind of people that you need to go, you know what? Fuck the law. We're still going to take you to court, and we're going to find you guilty just because. Fuck you. Like, dude, laws are not serious enough, honestly. They're only serious if you're a civilian. But if you're a politician or if you're fucking Anthony Fauci, then you're above the law, apparently.
Counsel.
What color's the carpet in front of you?
On the advice of counsel.
Here's the point. Outside of just watching Fauci betray every last instinct of honesty you may have had left in public officials, if you're like most people, you may have looked at this and just said to yourself, well, as much as I hate to see it, he does have that right. Unless you're talking about this exact...
Except he doesn't, because once you're pardoned and you're called into a congressional hearing, you do not have the right to plead the fifth at all, because you can't be incriminated. Pleading the fifth is to stop yourself from becoming incriminated. But if you've already been blanket pardoned, there's nothing to incriminate you. You cannot be jailed for it. So if you plead the fifth, then that means you're protecting other people and you're not protecting yourself.
Instance, which is why 1 week later, the exact Senate committee that he appeared in front of voted to hold him in contempt of Congress for failing to answer the question.
How could there be 7 fucking Democrats against this? That's actually crazy. That's full-on retard behavior, straight up.
But this begs the obvious question. How can a man commit a crime while using his...
It's like they want to try to play this game of, oh, it's one side versus the other, dude. They're all working together, man. 8 versus 7. Come on, dude. They wanted to make it look like they were trying. Like, this is crazy. And then guaranteed, nothing happens to this fucker.
Right to remain silent when asked about questions related to something he already received a pardon for. And the reality is this bizarre legal dimension that we've somehow stumbled into has become one of the most fascinating scenarios you can possibly think of, where somehow the Fifth Amendment and the Constitution itself are in an all-out fistfight brawl, creating one of the wildest cat-and-mouse games of who's on first that we've ever had in the history of the country.
You know the guy's names on the baseball team?
Yes.
Well, go ahead. Who's on first?
Yes.
I mean the guy's name.
Who?
The guy playing first.
Who?
The guy playing first base. Who? The guy on first base.
Who is
Such a
on
classic
first?
What are
sketch.
you asking me for? I don't know.
So in today's episode, let's just unpack this whole thing in simple terms that anyone can understand. What is a pardon exactly? And what is the Fifth Amendment specifically? And why are these two things fighting over a man who looks like he's a James Bond villain?
Seems tough.
True.
No, it isn't, is it?
No.
I'm Jake the Lawyer, and welcome back to Internet Esquire. All right, so if you somehow didn't know at this point, Dr. Anthony Fauci is an American immunologist. Immunologist? Is that how you say it?
Immunologist.
Anyway, he's a doctor and also a longtime federal public health official who became widely known during COVID. Duh. But longtime public health official is mostly what he has been. In fact, Fauci joined the National Institutes of Health in 1968, and from 1984 to 2022,
He tortured animals this entire time, by the way.
served as the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, otherwise known as the NIAID. And during his tenure, he served under 7 presidents, beginning with Ronald Reagan and ending, most importantly for this video, with Joe Biden, where he served as the White House chief medical advisor.
And every single president who employed this guy is guilty and complicit with the crimes that he committed against humanity. Straight up. Every single one.
Top doc, as they say. Evil Dr. Porkchop. Anyway, since that time, he has been the subject of countless criminal accusations, with congressional actions against him being primarily spearheaded by Senator Rand Paul.
Did he have a conflict of interest? Did he have a self-interest in it not being from the lab? Of course he did, because he funded the lab.
And while I'm not going to get into the who did what to who in the incestuous circles of governmental agencies, the primary accusation against Fauci...
And again, Rand Paul is just playing the game. I don't think he actually cares. I don't think he thinks anything is going to happen. Like, these people, a lot of these people have been in office for a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, and have done literally nothing to help the country at all, and just watched it slip into a horrible madness. None of these politicians are real.
Fauci is this. He knowingly funded gain-of-function research at the Wuhan Virology Institute in China, which even the FBI and several other reputable governmental agencies recognize as the most likely source for the coronavirus.
And again, those people who got shut down, dude, those people who got deplatformed for saying that it was probably a virus made in China, I mean, it's right fucking there. And Fauci was involved in all of it.
Pandemic. And that's because it's true. Under Director Fauci, the NIAID awarded the Eco Health Alliance grant money under things called Understanding the Risk of Bat Coronavirus Emergence, which then made subgrants directly to the Wuhan Virology Institute in China.
But yeah, there's no way they released this on purpose, right? They were just researching the coronavirus just because and how to spread it. They were just researching how to spread it just because, you know? What up, dude?
And once there, the money was used to, well, test engineered bat coronaviruses, where researchers would alter the genetic code of the viruses and then test whether those alterations gave the viruses enhanced biological properties with things like, I don't know, transmissibility to humans.
Stay calm. You've been poisoned.
Now, I'm summarizing a bunch of things here, so don't get your panties in a bunch if you disagree with my summation. The main point of contention was whether or not this was actually gain-of-function research in the generic sense of the word, or as Fauci contends, this was not gain-of-function research because it didn't meet a more technical definition. But given...
Dude, the technical shit, that's a huge problem with the government. Everything is technical now. Well, technically we didn't do anything wrong. Yeah, but literally you did. So who gives a fuck if it's technically not illegal?
That the NIAID is under the NIH, and the NIH definition of gain-of-function research is any selection process involving an alteration of genotypes and the resulting phenotypes. Yeah. Either way, regardless of the dispute over the definition, all of the money and the research is very well documented. And other lesser accusations against Fauci are, I don't know, things like he lied to Congress in previous hearings about whether he was conducting gain-of-function research.
The NIH has not ever and does not now fund gain-of-function research.
So the thing is, if he gets found guilty for contempt of Congress, he can only spend a maximum of 1 year in prison. Realistically, this guy should spend the rest of his life in prison. The rest of his short, miserable life.
In the Wuhan Institute.
Suppress the lab leak theory.
It has been proven without a doubt that SARS-CoV-1 went from a bat to an intermediate animal host to a human. Didn't come out of any lab.
Except he ran the lab. This dude ran the lab, and then he tells us that, no, there's no way that they ran it in a lab. There's no way that it happened in a lab. Also, if you talk about it, you're going to have your bank account shut down.
Really misled the American public. It was a bat. Anyway, here's why this matters for this video. It was directly as a result of these accusations that on the last day he was in office, President Joe Biden, on January 20th, 2025, issued
actual piece of shit, dude. This guy is one of the worst presidents in the entire history of the world. Oh my God, Joe fucking Biden, dude. Jesus Christ. Like, Trump has failed at everything he said he was going to do. He did the exact opposite of everything he said he was going to do. And somehow, he's still a better president than this old geriatric fuckface, dude. This guy had no idea what was going on, ever. Not once.
A full and unconditional pardon.
Except whenever he was pardoning his criminal buddies.
For, quote, any offenses against the United States which may have been committed or taken part in during the period of January 1st, 2014 to the date of the pardon, arising from or in any manner related to his service as director of the NIAID. The pardon was then signed with an auto pen, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, but only because...
The only reason that Trump is not taking down Fauci right now is because he wants to give his family a blanket pardon as well. That's the only reason. He wants to blanket pardon his family for all of their crimes against America, so he's not taking down Fauci or Biden. That's straight up why.
Because it's necessary when we start taking into consideration the Fifth Amendment. Otherwise,
the thing that's funny, too, is as soon as Democrats get back into power, because mark my words, the Republicans have been fucking up so bad that Democrats will get back into power. The second that happens, they're going to turn around and jail every single Republican that they can, including Trump and his family, most likely. Like, this is, we don't play by the same games here. We don't play by the same rules.
I couldn't care less.
The right will be like, well, I don't want it to happen to me, so we're just going to not do it. And then the left will be like, oh, these idiots didn't do it. Oh, just wait till we're in there. We're for sure going to. And then the whole time the right is going, no, they won't. We didn't. And we're going to be honorable about it or whatever they think. And it's like, dog, honor is not, it's not in the conversation.
I'm not going down the Biden mental decline rabbit hole. I'm not doing it.
Not going to do it. Wouldn't be prudent at this juncture.
For now, let's just talk about presidential pardon.
All right, but Biden clearly was out of his mind. He's clearly senile. We need to set an age limit on all politicians. 56 years old, 56 3/4. Once you hit 56 3/4 years old, you lose your job. You're no longer allowed to be in politics ever again.
The red corner, and fighting out of Independence Hall, Philadelphia, we have the United States Constitution weighing in at 238 years old. The Constitution says this in Article 2 about the pardon power. The president shall have the power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States except in cases of impeachment. And what this means in layman's terms is that the president can reduce, pause, or completely eliminate any criminal punishment that the federal government may impose upon a person for a federal crime.
This needs to be erased. This law needs to be erased. It's been abused every single time it's been used, almost. Almost every time it's been used, it's been abused. With the exception of, Trump pardoning the January 6th guys, because to be fair, yeah, sure, there was a couple of violent people, but most of the people were just there, and most of them got way, way overcharged and served their time by the time they were pardoned by a lot. Most of these people definitely deserved a presidential pardon, for sure.
And
besides for that, though, it's been taken advantage of by every president.
Full and unconditional pardon, which is what Fauci received, absolves him of any criminal liability which may have resulted from his actions while serving as a public health official from January 2014 to January 2025. Now, I know what you might be thinking. How can somebody be granted a pardon when they were never even indicted or convicted of a crime? Well, the answer lies in what is known as a preemptive pardon.
That's so stupid.
Which is...
So you know for a fact he was committing crimes, and you pardoned him anyway. You pardoned him preemptively because you knew he was doing the crimes. You were complicit in it, and yet you pardoned him. What the fuck?
Exactly what it sounds like. A president can issue a pardon.
That should be right away grounds for arresting Joe Biden. Right away, if you preemptively pardon somebody, that means you knew they were committing crimes. You should go to jail.
Pardon before someone is even convicted of a crime, and even if prosecutors haven't identified a crime or started any kind of investigation whatsoever. Oh, but don't worry, it's really not that bad. It only forgives crimes already committed. Yeah, not future crimes or state crimes or civil liability. I know. It's the small wins that matter. Yeah, the next time you engage in gain-of-function research that kills millions of people and then profit off the cure, we're going to get you. And there's not going to be any president to pardon you this time. Anyway, well, we generally refer to all reprieves and pardons.
Dude was able to live his whole life, retire in luxury, be a fake celebrity for several years, and destroy millions of lives. And he gets to just walk away.
Generally with the word pardon. The legal reality is that there are a bunch of different types of clemency that the president can grant under this power. I'll tell you right now,
and Americans are getting absolutely sick of this shit on both sides of the spectrum and in the middle. All Americans are getting absolutely sick of this shit. And if the government doesn't start acting right within the next 10 years, they better have their mass surveillance stayed up because some shit's going to really pop off and they're going to regret it. They're going to regret the way they've been acting.
Generally speaking, the way a grant of clemency works is very simple. The president says so. What? Yeah, he just says so. Why? Because I say so. Yeah, I mean, typically he writes it down on a piece of paper, and then the piece of paper lists the scope of the thing being pardoned, but But that's the idea. No congressional oversight, no judicial approvals, just that. So what are the limitations? Well, here they are.
Stupid.
First, they only cover federal crimes. Remember, offenses against the United States. Second, they only cover past offenses listed by the pardon, which is what I said. So you can't murder somebody 20 years ago and then turn around and say, well, I can't be convicted of tax evasion today because I was pardoned for that 20 years ago. And third, they must be willfully authorized by the sitting president. You see where I'm going with this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I know. Willfully authorized?
But with an auto pen, which means that Joe Biden did not sign it, and there's a good chance that he might not have even seen it, because, again, dude was fucking senile. But it still makes him criminally liable in my eyes, dude. You were in charge. You should have been in charge. If you knew that you were fucking losing your mind, then you should have been removed. You should have removed yourself from the situation.
With knowledge and assent. All right, fine, let's talk about
It's not like these people with that are senile don't know that they're losing their mind, dude. I've dealt with senile people before, and whenever they are prescient, whenever they're there and aware of the moment, they know that they're losing their mind. It's only in the moments in between when the dementia hits. That's whenever they start to forget, but they know that they're forgetting stuff. They know they're losing their mind. It's not like it's something that's beyond them.
The auto pen. Gosh, dang it. I don't want to do this section, but you're forcing me into it because I know that if I don't, there's going to be 100 comments about what about the pardon being invalid? What about the pardon being invalid? Here's what this is. And look, the auto pen debacle does actually kind of matter in like the most auxiliary type of way when you start to talk about Fauci's well-founded fears of prosecution under the Fifth Amendment. So here's what happened. While President Biden was in office, he issued over 4,200 individual grants of clemency under...
How are you allowed to do that? How the fuck are you allowed to do that? Like, you're going to claim you're not running a criminal empire and you're pardoning 4,200 people individually? Fuck that.
For his pardon power. And taken all together, this is the largest amount of clemency grants by a factor of more than 2 for any president in the recorded history of the Justice Department, which is astounding. But if that alone wasn't enough, here's what's extraordinary. About 2,500 of these grants occurred during the final 3 days of his term in office.
That's crazy.
Is that a lot?
Which is more in a 3-day period than any other previous president had issued throughout the entirety of their term, even for presidents who served 2 terms.
What the
that
fuck?
should raise some legitimate questions.
Yeah.
But either way, to sign all of these, President Biden or, well, his staff to sign all of these used what's called an auto pen, which is simply a machine that reproduces a person's signature by moving a physical pen across a document. Now, to be frank and fair, there is nothing about the use of an auto pen in particular that would somehow make the clemency grants invalid.
Dog, this is the whole thing with the technical about the law. Well, I didn't technically do anything wrong. Nah, dude, fuck that. You still should go to jail forever. I don't care. You didn't technically do anything wrong, but you still did something wrong. Like, fuck that. No, we're done. As Americans, we're getting really, really tired of playing this game of the legalese because we're realizing more and more that only the civilians have to follow the law. Only a regular citizen has to follow the law, but no corporation does. No politician does. No Dr. Fauci does. Presidents don't. None of them have to follow the rules. Only the citizens. And at that point, you have a government that's oppressing you, not a government that's supporting you.
They're still valid, even if he didn't sign them with his own hand, so long as one other condition is met. So long as he knowingly issued them. And as we all know, during
And dude was full-on senile, so how is that even possible?
the final year of his presidency, Biden was increasingly suffering from an objectively obvious, meaningful physical and mental decline.
Eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. Excuse me.
Trump goes, I have no idea what he said there. I don't even think he does.
Dealing with everything we have to do with. Look,
Now, does that mean he was, legally speaking, mentally incompetent in the final days of his presidency? To the point where his staffers shoved through a bunch of clemency grants and then auto-penned his signature, thereby making those clemency grants invalid? Now, you can speculate about that all day long, but as far as I can tell, there's no clear and convincing evidence, and everything to the contrary seems to be just political rhetoric. But here's why this matters for the purposes of our video. The fact that the validity of the Fauci pardon has been brought into question multiple times adds one more layer of complexity when it comes to his rights under the Fifth Amendment. So let's talk about that, keeping this in mind along with the other limitations to federal pardons. But before we get into that, I have
Dude literally cannot follow the law. Fauci literally refuses to follow the law and has been given carte blanche to do so.
Very special announcement to make regarding Pepperbox TV.
Man.
We have released our very first ever feature-length documentary called The Battle in Najaf, Whatever It Takes, and it's available right...
It's really weird whenever these bigger YouTubers and stuff start using AI for their thumbnails. Like, I mean, I definitely am not one of these anti-AI weirdos, but at the same time, it's like, dog, you definitely have the money. Clearly, you have the money to actually... I mean, you're a lawyer. You could pay a graphic designer $20 to make you a thumbnail, and it would look better than this. The whole, like, there's this weird, like, pen needle effect that happens on all AI pictures, where it looks like it was drawn with, like, needles the whole time. There's little missing pieces of it everywhere, little black and gray dots that are, I guess, hard to notice if you don't know what you're looking for, but when you do, you can tell that is 100% an AI thumbnail. And I'm sorry, if you're running a documentary channel, like there's a difference between like a fantasy channel or something like that running using AI thumbnails and a history channel. If you're a history channel or you're doing any sort of documentary and you use AI in any way, I'm immediately not going to trust your video and I'm immediately not going to watch it. That's the real truth, because too many times I've clicked on a video and then it's this AI fucking voice that has no idea, like, that's not even saying real shit. It's just lying to people and sounding convincing because it has a British accent. No, not a fan.
Now, this very instant. And this project is amazing not only because it is a breakthrough for us, but because my boy Jack Mandeville and Chase spent painstaking hours to summarize a 3-week battle into a 2-hour documentary.
Painstaking hours, dog. So basically, they had to work for 3 hours. Oh no! Oh man! Oh no!
We had the opportunity to interview the commander of all the ground forces during the fight, numerous Marines who were there, and also to explain why this fight was one of the most difficult, but also one of the least recognized in all of the war in Iraq. And that's probably because it happened in the middle of a giant Shia cemetery that's, has a giant mosque in the middle of it. I don't know. Maybe that's why. Anyway, it's an incredible work and one that I had the privilege to be the executive producer on. And if you don't know this, that's one of the other things that I do, and I'm not making videos for this channel. I run Pepperbox TV. And if you're not over there watching these videos without ads and hundreds of exclusive shows...
Dog, your ad is going on way too fucking long. Get on with it, you loser.
...that we have available for you right now.
God,
14
get out of here.
Anyway, I just wanted you to know about this.
Fuck, dude. Jesus Christ, man. Some of these people will go on and on and on with their ads. Shut the fuck up.
To Jack Mandeville and Chase for putting it together. And now, back to Fauci's ouchies. Ooh, my ouchies.
And it's like, he didn't have to do a 5-minute ad read there. That was his own thing. He wasn't sponsored by some company. He just decided to waste everybody's time.
All right, in the blue corner, fighting out of New York City and weighing in at screw you, I ain't talking, we have the Fifth Amendment, which says this: no person shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself.
That's actually a very stupid part of the Constitution, I'm not gonna lie. Like, the Constitution is a great thing, and that might be one of the few amendments that I really disagree with. Pleading the Fifth, dog. Oh no, I can't incriminate myself. Yeah, the fuck you can, dude. We could fully expect you to incriminate yourself. That's crazy. What about everything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law? Like, come on.
Look,
that guy
I'm sorry.
face planted.
You don't like 90s cops? Everybody loves 90s cops.
90s cops was amazing.
cops. If you don't like 90s cops, why are you here? That's a genuine question. I loved watching that show and then seeing them Mirandize the bad guy right at the end. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you do can and will be used against you in a court of law. That's what we're talking about here. Well,
yeah.
Sort of. The idea behind the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination is simple. Generally speaking, you are innocent until proven guilty, which means that the burden of proving you guilty rests on the government. So the right against self-incrimination, or being forced to answer questions that can be used against you, is fundamental to that idea. But since we're specifically talking about the Fauci situation, I'm not going to go down every specific avenue of possibility.
Like, you did bad things. We're asking you if you did bad things, and then you're pleading the fifth. I mean, in a serious world, in an actual serious world, pleading the fifth would get you immediately charged with the crime. Really. In a serious world, it would.
That the Fifth Amendment can get into. Instead, I'm just going to focus on two relevant considerations. Number one, when under sworn testimony, the Fifth Amendment right only applies to questions that present a real and reasonable danger of self-incrimination to the witness.
Which means if you were blanket pardoned, you cannot plead the fifth. That means you're protecting other criminals and not yourself. See, I think that if we were really going to be serious about this, we would initially take him to jail on charges of contempt of Congress, but we would take it way further and put it in a RICO act. Like, really, he should be charged with RICO crimes for organized criminal activity. If he's pleading the fifth when he's been pardoned, clearly he's part of some bigger criminal organization.
And two, a witness cannot use the right if they have sufficient immunity from punishment. Here's why this matters. If during the hearing, Fauci failed to answer questions by invoking his Fifth Amendment, but the refusal was invalid based upon either of these considerations, then that is grounds for a finding of contempt, which generally speaking is a failure to answer a question while under sworn testimony without a valid constitutional reason not.
Well, and for every time he said, I plead the fifth, he should be given a year in jail, which is like 150 something times.
So you've got the Fifth Amendment rights here and the pardon power over
here. They
here.
asked him what color is the carpet, and he pled the fifth. You have no reasonable expectation that that will give you any criminal charges when asked what color the carpet is or what color your tie is. So, I mean, it's obvious.
Now let's actually see how they stack up in a finding of contempt against Fauci. Okay, first question. Did Fauci face a real and reasonable danger of self-incrimination when he failed to answer the questions? Now, without factoring in the pardon, which we will do in a moment.
Why would we go without factoring in the pardon?
Fifth Amendment refusal to answer a question under sworn testimony is valid if a reasonable person under the same or similar circumstances would also have a well-founded fear of incrimination if they themselves answered the question. Okay. That means questions like...
In fact, you use 8 separate federal employees on federal time using federal resources to solicit cash awards. Isn't that true?
Dog, cash awards too. Not just awards, but cash awards. This guy needs to be in prison forever.
Those are valid questions where giving an answer could open up a line of inquiry that could...
Those are government employees. He was using 8 of them, 8 probably high-paid government employees that were there specifically to get him more money from awards. Come on. That's clearly should, like, I don't care if it's against the law or not, technically. It clearly should be, and you should clearly go to jail for it.
Reveal answers which could be used against you to find you guilty of a crime. And in the absence of a pardon, believe me, in the absence of a pardon, it's perfectly legitimate to invoke your right to remain silent in those instances. However, simply refusing to answer questions when there is no real danger of incrimination is not protected by the Fifth Amendment.
Like, so for example, when you're being asked what color the carpet is.
So questions like this.
What day of the week is it today?
And questions like this.
Do you have that in front of you?
Failing to answer questions like this is not protected by the right to remain silent, and whether or not you have a pardon is completely irrelevant. But here's where this gets slippery. This is all based upon the ethereal reasonable person standard. So if Fauci failed to answer a question like this,
What color's the carpet in front of you?
whether or not he committed contempt lies in whether another person under the same circumstances would have a well-founded fear of self-incrimination if they answered, and whether there is any relevant line of inquiry which could possibly come out of the answer that could be used against them to find them guilty of a crime. So there is definitely not some objective, clear-cut, definitive line here, but here's the thing to remember.
Well,
courts have...
There's definitely a clear-cut line in what Fauci said and did. There's definitely an obvious clear-cut line, right? When asked what color is the carpet, there's no way you could ever expect to be incriminated for that.
Long given this right a very broad interpretation in favor of the witness. But even with that in mind, failing to answer basic questions like...
The only reason this Fauci case is happening is because they're trying to distract the failure in Iran and Israel. You're not wrong. You're definitely not wrong. I 100% agree. That's why it's going nowhere. Because if they were actually serious about it, then he would already be in jail, and so would a lot more people. I wanted Trump to win. I'm not going to lie. I didn't vote for anybody because I think voting is all bullshit anyway, personally. But I definitely wanted Trump to win, for sure. But then Trump goes around and does all the exact opposites of what he said he was going to do and assists Joe Biden in the crimes that he did, such as pardoning Fauci for everything that he did. And don't forget that, and I didn't even know this, but Trump gave Fauci a medal. He actually awarded him a medal back whenever he was in office during when COVID first started. So it's not like he's not complicit in it. If he did commit crimes, good, but this is kangaroo court. It's poorly managed. For sure. 100% it's kangaroo court. For sure it's poorly managed. And for sure it's all theater. Realistically, I don't think anything's going to happen. And on top of that, if you're going to try to take down Fauci, you need to go for the people that were in charge of him. Every single president that employed Dr. Fauci, if he is guilty of the crimes that he's accused of, every single president that employed him should be liable as well. Every single one of them. And that goes on both sides of the spectrum, left and right. Like this is I don't think that this is a partisan issue, to be honest, which would be every president for the last 40 years. Exactly. And coincidentally, I think that's how long it's been since we've had a good president, realistically. Like we have not, all of them are guilty of some shit, straight up. I think presidential pardons should be erased. No more presidential pardons. And no more Fifth Amendment, too. The Fifth Amendment has just been abused every single time. The whole thing of well, I can't incriminate myself. Dog, if I'm asking you a question about a crime you committed and you're unwilling to answer it, my immediate thought in my head is you are guilty. You are guilty. Obviously you're guilty, or you wouldn't have any reason to plead the Fifth. So the pleading the Fifth should just be completely erased. The last actual good president was Carter, and the only reason his presidency was tarnished is because the Congress blocked everything he did. Yeah. Well, I think I don't know a whole lot about Carter, to be honest, so I can't say good or bad about him, but I do think that the last truly elected president that we had was JFK, and even then, he stole the presidency for sure. Like, he used the mafia to help himself get elected, and then backstabbed the mafia, which was crazy. And the mafia was working with the CIA then hand in hand, like in many cases, like when they tried to take down Castro. So even then, it's like, how long has it truly been since we've had an actual president that worked for America? Now, again, I don't know much about Carter, so you could be right. But it feels like I'm nostalgic for an America that hasn't existed for the past 50 years. I definitely want to check out a video about President Carter and see what he did and who he was, because he's one of those presidents that you don't really get to hear about. It has been 51 years. Well, then I'm perfectly on par. Hell yeah, there we go. Oh man.
What color is the sky?
You know, whenever JFK was assassinated, 9 out of 10 people did not believe the story. The week after it happened, 9 out of 10 Americans did not believe that JFK was assassinated by Lee Harvey Oswald alone. That was the moment whenever the American people truly found out that their government does not work for them. It was that moment right then. The Vietnam War didn't help.
would not be protected by the Fifth Amendment, even under a very broad interpretation of the reasonable person standard.
And this is the thing, is whenever you're claiming the Fifth Amendment because they asked you what color the carpet is, clearly you're doing bad shit. Clearly you're wrong. I mean, I know that this is like, there's no real evidence to it in quotes, but that doesn't matter to me, honestly. I just want justice, for real. The only reason he wasn't reelected was because of the worst for the economy. President Reagan was elected. President Reagan was an absolute dumbass who ruined so much shit. I can't believe that dude, as I said before, I am a right-leaning person, for sure. I think of myself as more center, but I definitely have a lot of right-wing values as well. And President Reagan fucked up so much stuff. Trickle-down economics, Nancy Reagan's war on drugs. Dude, I'm so sick of... Oh, I fucked the president. I'm married to the president, so that means that you have to listen to what I say. No, we don't. No, we don't. Just because you fucked the president does not mean you're important at all. Reagan is the reason we're in the shit we're in. Go look at the housing chart. Oh, I know. I know about between him and, God, who was it who got us away from the gold standard? Because getting away from the gold standard did huge damage to the economy as well. As soon as he was elected, pricing ballooned. Well, and that's what we get for electing a fucking actor. And not even a good actor. I mean, Ronald Reagan was a B tier or maybe even C tier actor in his time. And yet somehow he got elected. We're not a serious country. We're not.
And given Fauci's use of the right 111 times, even to benign questions like whether or not there is a folder in front of you, is more likely than not an act of contempt, even if it hasn't been criminally proven yet. And on this theory alone, I think the committee's finding of contempt against Fauci is completely valid.
Oh, yeah. I mean, 100% it is,
he has
for
a pardon, so let's talk about that, specifically within the context...
Well, the pardon is what makes the contempt valid in my eyes, for sure. I mean... this is like clearly, and he, by the way, maximum 1 year in prison. Maximum that you can get for contempt of Congress is 1 year in prison. So I don't know. It's like he clearly is in contempt of Congress. That much is obvious. Whether he did anything else is up to debate or whatever, is up to the facts and stuff. But clearly he is in contempt of Congress. The same people elected Trump twice, same for Reagan twice, and we got an explosion in inflation. Well, see, we got an explosion in inflation with Biden as well, and then we got an explosion in inflation with Trump. It's just been a steady decline. It's not like Biden was good for the economy either. He was very bad for the economy, but so is Trump. And Trump, he claimed to be this big savior of the right-wing people. He claimed, no foreign wars, which we were all for, getting rid of the Epstein class, releasing the Epstein files, which we were all for, making life affordable, which we were all for. He did none of those things. All he did was make his buddies rich. So if you still support Donald Trump today, then either you're getting paid by the government and you're a grifter, or you're just a fucking idiot. Truly one of the dumbest people if you still support Trump. Like, I can definitely, like I said, I wanted him to win because I agreed with the things he was saying. This is why I think, though, that politicians need to sign paperwork that says, I will only vote for and do the things I ran on. If I do the opposite, then I go to jail. I get immediately impeached and I go to jail. That's realistically where we should be. Treason charges need to be a lot more serious, too. Honestly. Too much treason happening in America. We have lobbyists, too. Lobbying should be illegal. You shouldn't be able to pay congressmen to vote the way you want. It's crazy. Like, realistically, I think that whether you're on the left or whether you're on the right, we're all trying to get to the same house. We're just taking different roads to get there, And then there's people, these politicians, that are standing in the way telling you to turn around and run away. Said Biden tried to stabilize the economy after Trump destroyed it during 2020. It was actually going down, and then the orange idiot got us in a war with Iran. Well, yeah, I mean, so I don't know. I will, you said, and it's going to take 20 years to fix the economy again. For sure. I do think it will. And like I said, I'm not pro-Trump anymore at all. I think he's fucked up immensely. But I also don't think Biden did anything good for the country. Whenever, he pardoned 4,200 people, twice the amount that any president has pardoned. Whenever he pardoned almost all of those people in the last 3 days of his presidency, like that, which was more than any president had ever pardoned in their entire presidency. That's clearly wrong as well. You know, I'm not a big fan of the whole like my guy is good, your guy is bad, like because realistically they're all bad. And the data centers, oh my God, data centers. In my state, we fight against them. In my state, they tried to put in a data center. The people voted no. They still tried to put it in, and all of those people got removed from office. So I'm very proud of my state for that. You said you're on your flight back home, and the plane has 220 megabyte speeds. Hell yeah, dude. Wi-Fi, hell yeah. These data centers are ruining economies, not only economies, but environments as well. And I don't know. I think that as far as the left and the right wing go, they're two wings of the same bird flying in the same direction. And I'm not talking about civilians, like regular citizens who are left or right. I'm talking obviously about the politicians. Whenever you see stuff like the Republicans running on, and this is just from my perspective because I am a Republican. Whenever you see Republicans running on the platform of like whatever you want to call it, like to say the Save America Act, running on the platform of the Save America Act. And then they have the Congress, they have the House, they have the Senate, they have the presidency, and they have the Supreme Court. And yet somehow they fail to do anything about it. That is obviously them working with the other side. You know, none of these people are serious. What's up, Harmony? Way to explain American politics is this: a coin, two sides. Yes, exactly. Exactly. But none of us get to hold the coin.
Of immunity. Here's what I mean. Yes, the Fifth Amendment protects you from being forced to give testimony that can be used against you. But if the government grants you enough immunity to eliminate the danger of prosecution, then your right to remain silent under the Fifth Amendment disappears.
Yes.
So did that happen here?
Absolutely.
Yes. Also, sort of. Basically, it is at this exact moment that the rights under the Fifth Amendment and under the pardon power really start to swing at each other.
Dude, such a good fight. Don Fry versus that other guy who I don't know. Dude, they just stood and banged for like 10 minutes straight. Just straight, no blocking, no defense, no grappling. Just punched each other in the face for like 10 minutes straight. Such a good fight. And then it turns out that Don Fry and this guy became like best friends and were hanging out and shit all the time afterwards because two men who go to war with each other, you know, it's better to have a favorite enemy than a best friend, you know? That's the old saying, right? Because they don't want to do anything. They want to pass a bill increasing surveillance so it gets killed. They want to pass a bill that contained it. It got killed. They tried passing a bill that had money to Israel in it and got killed. Neither side could get a bill passed because they both had nefarious shit. It's true. It's true. Except for whenever... The thing is, whenever it comes to Israel, both sides are on the same. They're on the same side there because Congress. I don't know if you guys know about this. Congress recently voted. It's going through the Senate now. It went through the House to merge the American military with the Israeli military. That vote passed. Now it's going through the second stages. There's more shit that has to happen, but that vote passed. If that doesn't tell you everything about it, it's crazy. All of our social media accounts are located in literally the Department of the Deportation Department or whatever you want to call it, the Department of Homeland Security. Whenever the Twitter account popped up, you know, they started doing the thing where you can track where places are from, where accounts are from. They popped up in Israel. It popped up in Tel Aviv, and then they removed it for government agencies. So now you can't see where the government agencies are actually from. Notice that feature got disabled quickly. Exactly. It's actually crazy, dude. It's actually crazy. The thing is, our entire country is owned. We've been taken over by a country the size of New Jersey. We have. How this happened, I don't fucking know. I do know that the Rothschilds were heavily invested in the creation of Israel, and the Rothschilds also basically own the Federal Reserve. These two things tie in very well. Their government is there to spy on you, not to spy on it for safety reasons, not control. Devil's advocate, I like it. Oh my god, that's funny. I can hear the sarcasm in your typing right there. I don't know. I think the whole, the entire world is turning against Israel in real time, and they have nobody to blame but themselves. Realistically, they have literally nobody to blame but themselves. They've done it to themselves, and they've definitely earned it. Just like flock cameras containing roughly 2 pounds of copper wire and 6 ounces of gold. No reason to know that, definitely. Dog, I'm going to say this with my, and I am going to post this to YouTube, and I'm going to say this with my full ass. Cutting down a flock camera is not only not illegal by the Constitution, it is required. When you tie in our Fourth Amendment and Second Amendment rights together, clearly flock cameras are 100% illegal, and clearly we have the right to take them down. 100% we have the right to. The Second Amendment is to protect our freedoms against tyranny. People forget that. It's not to protect yourself from your neighbor, it's to protect yourself from your government. That's what it's all about. And the Fourth Amendment is the right to not be surveilled unwarranted without a warrant. So when you mix these two things together, clearly flock cameras are the illegal thing. Cutting them down is not illegal, and I fully 100% support cutting them down. Take these motherfuckers down. No. I'm not even going to play the game of oh, well, maybe I'll get in trouble. I don't care. I don't fucking care. Cut them down. They're not legal. Get rid of them.
All right, remember the first limitation. Federal pardons only cover federal crimes. Yes, we know, CNN. Thank you. And while it is true
Actually,
in this
I did not know that, to be honest.
situation that all of the accusations against Fauci are related to federal grants, federal testimony, and federal conduct, that fact alone does not eliminate the possibility of charges like fraud, conspiracy, or other public health offenses that can be brought against him at the state level. And a lot of people that are sort of on the side of Fauci like to bring this up as the main reason why he still felt a well-founded fear of prosecution. But here's the thing they don't like to tell you about. Sub-rule. Murphy versus Waterfront Commission, 1964.
Did you know that President Nixon said that the same people who took down JFK are the same people who took him down, but they couldn't use bullets because nobody believed the JFK assassination? That's from Nixon.
Fauci was forced to testify. The Fifth Amendment still prevents another sovereign, in this case another state, from using that testimony against him during their prosecution. So the argument is not as simple as just saying, well, the states can still go after him, so therefore he had a well-founded fear of prosecution. No, if the states went after him and anything that they went after him with was based upon what he said to Congress under immunity, that would not be allowed. And while the practical reality of implementing this is about as clear as mud, that's the legal rule in this argument. And here's the other one that people keep bringing up. A federal pardon does not protect against new crimes like perjury committed while making new testimony. So obviously, yes, because the pardon only goes up to January 20.
So because the pardon only goes up to then, he's not legally allowed to lie, and that's why he should be able to plead the Fifth. Is an absolutely idiot. It's just the dumbest fucking point you could make, honestly. Oh, he's worried that if he lies, he'll get in trouble. Well, you're not supposed to be lying anyway, so realistically, fuck it, you know? The database for ICE is going well. The ICE agents are pissing themselves. Nah, dude, I'm not gonna lie, I'm fully in support of deportations. I think that America has gone way, 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 way too far in the open borders. I'm not going to lie to you, dude. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. Now, do I think that ICE is kind of ridiculous and silly and not well run? Yes, absolutely. I wish that it was an actual well run organization. But I'm definitely not against their mission, just how they implement it. You know, if that makes sense. I definitely think that, realistically, this is my position, right? If you come to America, you should be a net positive. Nobody who comes to America as an immigrant should be given any sort of assistance, right? That's where I feel. If you come to America, you should be a net positive. And anybody who is a net positive should be allowed to come here. As far as covering your face with masks, whenever I was 19 years old, the SWAT team raided my house because I moved into a house. 5 days later, the SWAT team raided it, found out my roommate was selling pounds of weed. Anyways, they busted in the house with ski masks. This isn't something that ICE agents are they're the only guys doing it. Literally every police agency in the history of time has been covering their faces when they fear retaliation, especially with where the politics are at now. So I'm not against them covering their faces. I'm not against their actual mission statement. I just think that there's too many fat dummies who are in the department, too many absolute troglodytes who are running it. And like I said, I agreed with a lot of stuff that Trump wanted to do, that he said he was going to do, that he never did. And you look at the quote-unquote mass deportations. Trump has deported less people than Obama did. All right, that's a fact. In the same amount of time, Trump has deported less people than Obama did and naturalized twice the amount of citizens that Obama has. So if you really look at, and by the way, Obama was incredibly anti-immigration. I don't know if you guys know this. Go back and watch some of his speeches. He was super anti-immigration. He hated it. That's one of the things he ran on. But I do think the data centers, the flock cameras, all this stuff, I think that it's building up so that they can stop dissent from the average American. They don't want us to talk to each other. They don't want the left and the right to have this conversation and to honestly discuss their values and the merits and the demerits of those values and how they exist in the world. They don't want us having this conversation. They want us to be angry at each other, you know? They want it to be black versus white, man versus woman. And that way we're not looking at rich versus poor, because that's what it is. If you want to deport illegal people, do it legally and safely. Don't take people in the middle of the fucking night in their houses coming off work. Now, I mean, if you're here illegally, first, the thing I believe there is, well, all right, truthfully, now this is going to be harsh. This is going to be wild. What I would do is, there was a time in history, and I'm talking 50 years ago, or no, let's say 70 years ago, to all of history before it. Literally all of history before it. If you tried to invade a land, then you would be killed by the government. I realistically think that anybody who's trying to cross the border, if they're caught doing that, we should use lethal force against them. That will stop it right there. I know that sounds harsh, but that's the reality of it, straight up. How about a slightly not net negative? No, not even a little bit. If you're taking $1 from the government, if you're taking $1 in tax subsidies, nope, don't want you. That's how I feel. I'm not against deportation. I'm against doing it like the Gestapo, taking anyone who looks not white. True, I'm against that too. They've actually taken citizens who are here legally and on. Kitty, what are you doing? Get out of here. They've actually taken citizens who are here legally and on visas, and they don't even care. That's true. That is true. They have done that, and it is kind of fucked up. I don't know. There's clear data on who is illegal. Like there's tons of places where you could go to find a bunch of illegal immigrants. Like my grandpa went through this, where he was doing his taxes one year and they found out that an illegal immigrant in California had stolen his social security number and used it to work a job. And they just went, well, there's nothing we can do. You have to pay the taxes that he owes. Like there's more to the illegal immigration thing than just some dude wants to make a better life. Like, well, you say you have to come here illegally to be here legally. That's the issue. The immigration department has been defunded and there's backlogs of 15 years. But if you have to be here for X amount of time to get a green card, so even to get papers to live here, you have to live here illegally for a time. I don't know. So I had an old boss from Britain who moved here, did the visa program. She did say it was hard. She said it took her 7 years of living on like a temporary work visa, basically, before she was able to become an actual citizen or to even get like a green card or whatever. I think she's on her way to citizenship. It's actually so whenever I see like refugees, I don't believe in refugees at all. Get off of the, you dumb cat. Get out of here. Yeah, I don't know. I definitely think that there's a lot of emotion involved in the argument, and I don't really believe in making laws or running a country based on emotion at all. I really don't. Like, just because something makes you feel icky doesn't mean it's bad, realistically. And there are a lot of people who come here and they're able to do it the right way. And there's just a lot more people who do it the wrong way. And I will say there's definitely certain countries that are 100% like given carte blanche to do it, such as India, where they are able to just get endless H-1B visas, and the actual leaders of India have come out and warned the world that 90% of the college degrees that come out of India are fake. That's from India. That's not from some weird chud or whatever you want to call it. That's from the Indian people. 90% of their college degrees are fake. Countries live and die by their border. Take a look at Japan. Their entire country, if they don't fix their immigration policy, will not be a country in the next 130 years. Well, it's weird, though, that as soon as they did start opening up their borders, all of their Shinto shrines just started magically burning down, you know? All of their ancient buildings and stuff, all of their culture just immediately started burning down. And you look at other countries, and it's the same exact thing. You have to be... So, letting in immigrants is not a bad idea, but you have to do it at a slow enough rate to where they can actually integrate. Because if you, let's say you import a bunch of whatever place, and they just start living together, and they create their own conclave in a city, such as Chinatown, for example. Now you've got a separate culture living inside of your country that doesn't agree with any of your values, you know? Yeah, they let in the stupid influencers. Yes, dude. Yes, they did let in the stupidity of influencers. And not only influencers, but just like people that don't mesh with the culture. You have to give people time to acclimate. You have to put them in the right environment. I don't know why anybody would want to import people that don't... I don't know why anybody would want to import people that don't agree with their culture, that think that their culture is wrong. I'm not anti-deportation. I'm anti-incompetent immigration policies. For sure, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. I think we could have way stronger immigration policies. I think that we could make it way easier for net positives to move to America and way harder for everybody else. Realistically, though, we're at a point now where if you wanted to actually turn America around, you would need to shut down immigration for like 20 years. There's a reason why the houses are so expensive. Like, we're 20 million houses short or whatever, right? Well, like, how many people do we have living here from outside of the country? Or they say that, well, we can't find any skilled labor. Then why do we have so many college kids who are working at a McDonald's because they can't get a job in the tech industry? Like, we have the skill, we have the labor, we have the people, and we're just replacing them with people who aren't Americans. You're born as an American, and then your birthright is given to someone else. That's clearly a problem. Well, also, U.S. being a country that's very much big on deportation is hilarious. Given every country was stolen. Every single country was stolen. To be fair, every war, like there was no country that started with a indigenous people that just stayed there forever and nothing ever happened. The whole stolen war. Also, by the way, we paid for most of the land we have. The East Coast we fought for. The East Coast we fought versus the Native Americans, tooth and nail for. But just before the Trail of Tears, Andrew Jackson paid the Native American tribes for their land. He paid them more than we paid France, and he paid them more than we paid Russia for Alaska. He paid them an exorbitant amount of money. And then the guy who was in charge of relocating them decided he was going to keep it all and Trail of Tears them. You know, it's not like the American empire is a horrible thing. It's just there are bad people that exist that have done bad things. But most of the land that we live on was bought. It wasn't warred for. We bought it. Whether it was from Russia or France or the Native Americans themselves, we paid for most of the land. That's something that not a lot of people know, but it is true.
20th, 2025, anything said after that period is not covered by the scope of the pardon. And technically, if
my family is really, really into the Native American thing, like, I don't know, I'm kind of really in that world. I know a lot about that, you know. Well, you could argue Puerto Rico. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Cat was acting a fool. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know much about Puerto Rico, so that part I'd have to just take your word on for sure. But I don't know, the most neglected island, country, state, province. whatever's considered. I have a friend down there. They're doing rolling blackouts. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I didn't even know about that. Plus, aren't they like a American territory, but they're not technically a state, so they're not allowed to vote? That's crazy. You said, so I have this really good idea. Let's just unite together, start exporting more and importing less. We could call it the British Empire. Damn, dude. That's a wild idea. So literally, they're paying taxes to the government and they're not allowed to vote. Dog. Literally, America was built on this. America was built on the idea against that, I should say. I should be specific. America was built on the idea that that's not allowed. That was like the one thing. The one real rule. Yeah, they're being shafted pretty hard. What the fuck, dude? Oh, man. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm a pretty patriotic person, but I'm patriotic for a country that hasn't existed for 50 years, you know? Puerto Rico has been trying to vote for independence for years. Literally the reason you went to war with us over. Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, we're paying like 47% taxes. 40%, by the way, 40% of your income tax goes directly to paying off the debt, the national debt. I don't think any politician should be paid until the debt is balanced. Until the national, until we've got zero, like we shouldn't be in, it's crazy. Who are we even in debt to? Some banks? And like a foreign country or two, how are they going to make us pay? The debt is not real. Just cancel it. What are they going to do about it? Nothing. Really. A big issue, though, is that we've shipped off all of our industrialization, and to the point to where it's going to take a good 20 to 30 years, if we wanted to re-industrialize. Thank Reagan for that. Oh, yeah. No, I'm fully with you there. Like, Reagan, I don't know why he's seen as his hero, because he was one of the, unless you're a rich guy, if you're rich, Reagan was tight. But if you're literally anybody else, Reagan was one of the worst presidents we ever had. Like, and that's weird for a Republican guy to say, for sure, but it's true. I don't believe in people. I believe in ideas. That's why I could say I agreed with what Trump ran on, but I hate his guts now, you know? He's seen as the hero by the fucking boomers. True. True. Boomers are... Oh, man. They just have no idea what's going on in the world. They still get all their news from the big media. So, like, you can't even really... I mean, you can blame them for sure, but they just don't know any better. They literally don't know any better. Whenever you start to explain to a boomer, like, you actually sit down with one of your boomer family members and you show them that... you know, during their time, the average wage for a worker was worth 150 bars of gold, and today the average wage for a worker is worth less than 20 bars of gold. That's a pretty easy way to explain how fucked we are from them and the policies they put in place. I get that. I'm Labor Party through and through, but I disagree with everything Labor currently is. Yes, it. Explain Puerto Rico in one word: Taiwan. Damn. Yeah, that's actually powerful. Holy shit. So America's like, no, this is totally ours. And they're like, well, we really just want to be independent. And we're like, yeah, well, tough titties. We're calling you ours. You know, there's something, it's like, there's something evil and also something patriotic in that. And I'm not going to go further than that with that.
Anything said after that period does not line up with something said before, then there's a minute.
You look at the, I bring this up a lot because it's so obvious. Dan Bilzerian versus Randy Fine. Say what you want about either of those people. Neither of them are really a good dude. That's for sure. But during the fight, so Randy Fine is owned by Israel. That much is very clear. He's made that clear. He's said it out loud. Randy Fine is owned by Israel. By the way, same guy who fraudulently voted for other congressmen on camera, got in no trouble. Same guy who just the other week was caught going through mailboxes, which is illegal, no charges. And he's in his race with Dan Bilzerian. He's at 8,700 votes. Dan Bilzerian is at 8,100 votes. They're starting to get close, and in the last 30 minutes, Randy Fine's votes doubled, and Dan Bilzerian's votes went down by 2,000. Now, if that doesn't tell you that none of this is real and that voting is all fake and we are literally owned by Israel, then I don't know what else will. At that point, I mean, it's pretty much like you're willfully being ignorant. honestly. Even the UN has adopted a resolution to try and get them independent because they pay taxes to the U.S., but quite literally taxes without representation. Yeah, and I don't know. I think that at that point, I'd have to look more into it. But based on what you're saying, I do think that Puerto Rico should be given its independence. However, I also think that the UN is a bunch of fart-sniffing people sitting around, jacking each other off, not doing anything for the past, like, ever. You know, that the UN is a bunch of high-minded rhetoric with nothing behind it. Truthfully. Same with NATO. NATO is a bunch of high-minded rhetoric with nothing behind it. Israel attacked Turkey like 2 days ago. Turkey is a member of NATO. Israel is not. And you know what we did? As Americans, apparently, we decided that we're going to sanction the leader of the International Criminal Court, and we're going to try to leave NATO. Come on. Come on. It could not be more obvious that we are run by Israel. It could not be more fucking obvious. It's crazy. They are legally considered an unincorporated territory, whatever the fuck that means. They love to use their obfuscating words, right, to make it technically not wrong. That the government loves doing that shit, and every time it's wrong. Yeah, I don't know. I think like I said, we haven't had a good president in 50 years, straight up. Our country has been gone for 50 years. You know, and it is extremely telling whenever, like, so, like I said, I'm not anti-immigration. I just think it should be a lot harder. I don't think it should be easy. I think the immigration should be hard. You should have to want to come to our country. It should not be an easy thing to do. But I don't know. I don't even know where I was going with that. Like, there's just some, like, oh yeah, I remember where I was going with that. So immigration, not a bad thing, but it should be difficult. You should be a net positive to the country. You should be actually trying to get in. It should be difficult. It should be a thing you actually have to do. But it's extremely telling that the guy who said, so let me ask you this. Do you know what the guy's name is that said that we're the melting pot of America, that America is the melting pot of the world? So this guy, by the way, had never been to America in his entire life. From the time he was born till the time he died, he never once went to America. He called us the melting pot of the world. His name was Israel. I'm not kidding.
Huge outside chance that those new statements could be used against him to prove perjury, which would be a new crime. And lastly, there is the issue over the validity of the pardon itself, which I think is a...
I'm not like making some joke like, oh, it was the country of Israel. No, it was a dude, an actual dude named Israel who had never been to America who said that we're the melting pot of the world. Just to put it all into context. In the early 1900s.
A very weak argument, but again, it's one that people are making, so here it is. If there is even a shred of doubt as to whether Fauci's pardon...
And let me be clear about that, too. I'm not really anti-Israel or pro-Palestine or anti-Palestine, pro-Israel. I don't give a fuck what those Semitic countries do. Because, by the way, Semitism is not just Jewish people. Just so everybody's aware of that. Semitism is a Semite is anybody who grew up over there. So it's crazy that Israel is actually, by a matter of fact, the most anti-Semitic country in the entire world. By a wide margin. I'm going to blow your mind with a sentence. Every single event down to the small aspects, event, action, reaction, post-action, yeah, change of decision can all be traced back to the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Oh, 100% agree. 100% agree. World War I was the start of the fall. World War II was the true descent, realistically. Like, I mean, you want to know something really weird, something really strange? The only person to offer peace at any point during World War II was Hitler. The only person to ever offer peace, and he offered it multiple times. Like, I mean, this is strange. This is weird. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that he's good or whatever, but I am just stating the facts, you know. America realistically had nothing to do with the whole thing. We should have never been involved. We'll save the world. Oh, Japan bombed us. We knew Japan was going to bomb us. We let them do it. We let them do it so that we could get involved into the war. I don't know. I don't see a world where fighting against one evil for the sake of another evil is a good thing. You know, we fought against Germany, but we helped Russia. And then for the next 40 years, we've been fighting against Russia, you know? I'd argue you absolutely should have been involved. They were sinking your ships too. Dude, all right. America was not in the right most of the time during World War II. I'll be completely clear with that. We called ourselves neutral, and then we were giving away weapons and ammunition and stuff to Germany's enemies. Like, so we clearly were not neutral at all. That's why Japan attacked us, is because they knew that we were not going to stay uninvolved, and we were going to keep giving their enemies weapons and money and all this kinds of stuff. That's literally why they attacked us. So if we just weren't involved, we wouldn't have been involved. You know what I mean? It was clearly a European issue for European people. It had nothing to do with America in any way, honestly. I know that's a fucking weird thing to say, probably in today's world, but realistically, I don't think we should have been involved in either of the world wars at all. I mean, our entire country was built off of non-interventionism, and we went and intervened.
Pardon was invalid because of the Otto-pen debacle, then it's not completely out of the question to say, well, he feared that his pardon may be invalid, and so therefore he had a well-founded fear of prosecution. And again, I think that's a terrible argument, and given the lack of any clear and convincing
it's a horrible
evidence
argument
to prove this theory in any way, I don't think that this argument holds any water at all.
It doesn't. You said if Archduke didn't get assassinated, World War I probably would have happened later, and the technology would have shifted and likely been more advanced when it started, so the outcome could have changed. Fast forward to when World War II happened, the failed painter might have not the failed painter might have not been involved. Sorry. I don't know why that made me laugh so hard. Fast forward to when World War II happened, the failed painter might have not been involved, and a different person might have started the war. True, because the thing that made him so aggressive was World War I and being locked in jail. That's when he wrote Mein Kampf, was when he was locked up. So World War II could have had a different outcome. Soviets may not have existed post World War II. Europe may have looked different. Say Germany was led by a more competent person and domino. And also, not only that, but with China, China fought against Japan hard. They fought hard. And then as soon as the Chinese people were done, and they lost a lot of people. They lost so many people. And the Chinese Communist Party came behind them and killed them while they were weak and took over. So even further than that, like, that could have stopped the Chinese Communist Party from coming into power. Nationalism was going to happen anyways without World War I. If it wasn't the painter, it'd have been Franco. Yeah, I mean, you're probably not wrong. And plus, I mean, if you actually look back to history, it's not like it was a 100% one-way street. Like, in 1928, I think it was, newspapers across the world started releasing that, and this was, by the way, way before, this was before Hitler told the Jews to even leave, let alone started doing horrible things to them. Like, this is before that, whenever all the newspapers started putting out that Judaism had declared war on Germany. Not like that, they called it first. I mean, like, it is one of those things. It's like, it's weird. It's weird to look at because there's no, like, there's clearly bad people in history, but there's no one that's clearly good. You know what I mean? There's no one that in this World War II scenario that was actually the good guy. Everybody was bad. Everybody was doing it for their own reasons. Nobody was good. Like, the whole Germany and World War II thing happened because Poland was taken from Germany during World War I as reparations. You know? One angry person created the world we live in. Yeah, I don't know. I think that realistically, World War I was right around the corner. Like, Franz Ferdinand, he was the catalyst, but the forces that be definitely wanted a big-ass fight. Balkans will always be the Balkans. They'll always have some crazy shit happening. I love the Balkans, but they have been wild. Yeah. Poland was massive before World War I. Yeah, but there were definitely German colonies in Poland, and This is an actual fact. The Germans that stayed in Poland after Poland got taken back after World War I were incredibly mistreated. That is the truth. That was why Hitler was able to convince his countrymen to go to war and to attack Poland. The truth is they were severely mistreated. That's just a fact. And it's not like this is the only evil guy to do evil shit. Like look at the Bolshevik Revolution where they were putting people's hands in boiling water and then peeling the skin off to make hand gloves, like killing millions and millions and millions of people, like 60 million people. There's been horrible shit that's happened throughout all of history, and nobody's good. Nobody's good. Look at the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. Yeah, I mean that's fair. It's just. The world is a wild place for sure. Yeah, and I want more people to realize that the world is a lot more nuanced. It's not necessarily as black and white as everybody thinks. Like, that fat guy who was in charge of Britain is looked at like a hero, but that dude was objectively a bad guy. Like, he was for sure a bad dude. I don't know. Unit 731. I don't need to explain. It's still classified to this day. Churchill. Yes, Churchill. Churchill, he won the war, but yeah, he was fucked. Yeah, exactly. Like, and same with FDR. FDR was fucking, like, he was selling out his country to the highest bidder, basically. Like, I don't know. The whole entirety of World War II was fucked. Everybody was the bad guy.
Again, it's something that keeps coming up on the open internet, so there's that. All right, so what happens from here exactly? Well, as I said earlier, the Senate committee led by Senator Paul ruled in favor of a contempt finding 8-7 along strict party lines. And based on that,
I don't know about Unit 731. No, I'll have to look into that. He was in charge of Kenya, and the reason the Kenyans hated us and my family had to leave. That's right. You have a direct tie into it. Holy shit. Yeah. Winston Churchill was just an actual moron. Like, I mean, he wasn't a moron. He was a genius, but he was an evil asshole at the same time. All of these people, or like how Italy was literally, they were part of the Axis, and then because they decided to switch sides at the last minute, and by the way, they didn't decide to switch sides. They decisively lost every single battle they were ever in. Italy had the worst military by far in World War II, and but we let them just slip away because they switched sides at the last second, and they met up with us. It's crazy. Yeah. Let me get something about this. Let me get the shorter version though.
That finding, there are two paths that we can go from here. First, the committee can give it directly to the Department of Justice as an additional recommendation that the DOJ open a case and investigate the finding on their own. But given that the DOJ already has full and independent legal authority to go after any suspicion of violation of federal law,
the issue of 731 has so much that a short version exists, but it's still long. I mean, that's fine. They
can already do this on their own, and the additional recommendation is little more than that. Second, it could go to a full Senate vote, and if the entire Senate chamber makes a finding of contempt, then something more objective happens.
No, links are blocked because too many fucking scammers, unfortunately. I could look up a YouTube video about it, though. Bots,
sort of.
Yes.
A finding of contempt by the entire Senate chamber would kick in additional statutory rules, which would require the DOJ to bring the issue.
Although the bot new thing is to hop in and be like, "Hey, I like your stream. Follow me or add me on Discord so we can be friends and I can watch more of your stream." And it's like, God, how much more obvious could you be that you're a scam? What the fuck, dude? Like, what the hell?
Before a grand jury. So it would no longer be a recommendation, it would be a requirement. But here's the thing with that. The DOJ maintains itself that regardless of these statutory rules, they maintain discretion as to whether to open an investigation and bring an issue before a grand.
The DOJ is an absolute joke, and I could say this by 100% certainty because nobody on the Epstein list has been indicted. Not one person. And also, the DOJ moved Ghislaine Maxwell from a maximum security prison to basically like a summer camp where she has a puppy. Ooh, there's an Oompa video on it? Oh, hell
and
yeah.
jury.
I love
And
Oompaville.
no Supreme Court case has ever
That'll be the
decided
next one.
for either party. And regardless of all this, I get to do this, you get to do this federal agency nonsense, it's most likely that the DOJ is going to voluntarily open up some kind of formal investigation on this anyway.
Well, yeah, because the entire Congress would be in prison, and they should be. They should be.
And therefore, it will probably end up before a grand jury. What's a little disheartening, though, and perhaps the most telling thing about this entire situation.
No, I do think you say if not the entirety, at least a good majority. I say you're trying to be a good person, and I can respect that. But no, I think it's every single one. I do think it's every single person in Congress should be in jail. I don't think a single one of them works for America, and that alone should put them in jail. You should not be running a country and going against their interests. That's crazy. The newer people haven't been on the island. Yeah, but they're still doing wrong shit, and fuck them anyway, you know, to be fair. I can't think of a single politician in the past 5-10 years that I've actually seen do anything good. Put them all in jail and make me emperor. Oh, man. I'm talking about the island strictly. Oh, no, for sure. I get you. And there's a lot of, well, and here's the way I see it though, right? How do all of these, why is it that everybody who is in power is like a pedophile or a monster in some way? Do you think it's because everybody who gets power ends up becoming a monster, or the much more likely thing of they find these monsters and then they get their blackmail and then put them into power so that they can control them? That's for sure the far, far more likely thing in my eyes. Anyone who's been in office since 2010 probably has been either invited or on the island. Yes, true. Including and celebrities. Look at Adam Sandler. Dude, Adam Sandler, and there's like 12 different occasions of him joking about cheese pizzas and pizza parties, saying that Seinfeld has the best pizza parties, joking about it with Ellen DeGeneres. Like, dog, I know this might hurt for a lot of 90s kids, but Adam Sandler is a full-on Epstein-style pedophile. 100% without a doubt. I just want to know who was on it. And that's the thing. They took they were supposed to release all the data and only cover up the names of victims, and yet they covered up the names of everybody who was sending out the emails, of the actual perpetrators. Like, dude, it's 100% clear that Trump ordered his DOJ to protect the Epstein list. Allegedly, let's keep it legal. No. I'm saying this with my whole ass, not allegedly. For a matter of fact, Adam Sandler is a pedophile. Yeah, for a matter of fact, Adam Sandler is a pedophile. 100%. And actually, Jerry Seinfeld is actually a known pedophile. Jerry Seinfeld has dated many girls who were 15, 16 years old in public. Like Seinfeld is literally a known pedophile. That's not even an accusation. That's just the actual truth. So, you know,
is that all of this is happening over a contempt finding, which is a misdemeanor that carries a small fine and less than 1 year in jail.
That's not enough.
So you have all of this trouble, all of these federal resources being put to this, all this media attention.
I won't disagree.
All of these things happening. And the worst thing that could possibly happen is that this guy might be thrown in jail for a couple of months.
Yeah.
It gives you an idea of how the federal government works, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Anyway, at the end of the day, that's almost certainly the most criminal thing about this whole situation. But that's it. That's the video. I hope you learned something about the presidential...
I like this guy's video a lot. I spent a lot of time getting distracted because America pisses me off today, but it still is what it is. That is extremely telling, though, of how much I have to say, because we turned a 24-minute video into an hour and 22-minute reaction. That's crazy. The wild part is, if you say in public that a celebrity's in the files, they have to prove that they aren't, so the files would have to be shown in court. Yeah, exactly. So... I'm saying this as a matter of fact that Adam Sandler, Seinfeld, they're both pedophiles. Jennifer Aniston, pedophile. Ellen DeGeneres, pedophile. As a matter of fact, these people are. It's extremely telling that the people who called, like, you know how big Trump is into taking people down for the shit that they say. He's huge into it. He loves it. And yet he doesn't take anybody to court for calling him a pedophile. Why? They don't, or specifically for being on the Epstein list. Why? Because he's definitely on the list. He was mentioned in it 30-something thousand times. Literally, more than like anybody else. It's crazy. We know for a fact that the orange idiot is in it. That's true. That's why he's fighting to block it. And I will actually say this. A lot of people, myself included, were convinced that Trump said he was going to release the Epstein files. But if you actually go back and listen to his statements, only the people that are now in his cabinet ever said that. Trump himself, when asked about it, he said he would for sure release the MLK. He would for sure release the JFK. And then when asked about Epstein, he said, well, there's a lot of people on there that might get unduly in trouble for things that they didn't actually do. Like, he never even said he was going to do it. He didn't, because he was always planning on not doing it. And then his obfuscation was, well, it's not real, is what he said at one point, which is so dumb that anybody even believes that. And that was after Pam Bondi said that she had it on her desk. By the way, Pam Bondi, such a fucking idiot. Waste of space. And then he tried to say it was a Democrat hoax and that the files do exist, but it was a total Democrat hoax, which is ridiculous. And then finally, he was ordered to release these files, and he released half of them, only half, and blacked out any data that would incriminate anybody. Yeah, he is in the files more than the Ring is mentioned in the entire Lord of the Rings books by a lot, by a wide margin, for sure. No, dude, I like I said, as a Republican, it makes me incredibly sad to see what he's done and who he actually is. Not actually half. Apparently only like 10% have been released. I don't even doubt that. I fully believe that. The government is completely fucked right now. Honestly.